Hi, welcome to another episode of Healing Matters. Thank you for joining me today. I am your host, Pastor Diandra Williams. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode. Last time we talked about acceptance. I hope you guys enjoyed the video about accepting where you are, accepting your healing journey, and the course it will take you on. And so we're going to continue the conversation. And today I have a special guest with me, Miss Shaplaie Brooks. She is my first official guest, so I'm so excited to continue the conversation with her about acceptance. She's going to tell us a little bit about her journey and who she is. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Shaplaie.
There's so much to tell. Okay, so I'm Shaplaie. I have two children. My son, Zaire, is 18 and off to college, and my daughter is 12.
Yay.
And she's in middle school doing her thing, honey. I have been a social worker for a very long time and started a diversity, equity, inclusion consulting firm. So I've been doing a lot of work and DEI work for businesses and all of that. So that's just a little bit about me. I try to be real low key
Excellent.
now.
Excellent. Now, congratulations. Seems like you're doing a lot of good things and raising your kids doing well as well. So, as I said, we're going to be talking about acceptance and about our health journey and what it's, transitioning from one space to the next. So tell us a little bit about your health journey.
Oh, wow. So my health journey, so viewers will know that you're my cousin. I grew up with you, right?
Yes.
So I always felt like I was fine, and I was smaller. I got married, and honestly, became very depressed in my marriage, and people didn't know that that's what was going on. So I gained, oh my gosh, over 200 pounds, and I was very large. I was juicy. That's what I would say. I was juicy. I was still fabulous, honey. I was just juicy. Right. And I would, I went down south, as you know, and so that didn't help because
Away from family,
but also his family can cook.
Yes.
So I was just
cuisine.
Right, I was eating pound cake after pound cake. And then, when I decided I wanted a divorce, I was just kind of I moved back up north. And I still just wasn't making changes in terms of how I was eating and all of that. And I don't even know if I really said, we had because the family's kind of corny like that. They had a come to Jesus meeting with me about my weight gain. They were like, what is happening?
Okay, so an intervention.
Yes, a real intervention. And so coming back up north, I wasn't really working on it until after Selena passed away. And I was stalling my divorce too.
Wow.
And when she passed away, I was like, oh no, because if you know Selena, then you know she did for everyone else and never for herself.
That's right.
And so that's what kind of got me on my journey. I'm like, I'm going to do this divorce. Quite literally, went and filed a month later, and decided that I am going to go on this weight loss journey and see where it takes me.
Awesome. So you made a conscious decision, at a time where you was grieving, but you was also in a space to say, all right, this can be an opportunity for change for me. And also honor my sister's memory because she was so giving and so loving, but she also didn't take the time to, take
Love
care of
on
herself.
Right.
And so I think that was a blessing in disguise to say, all right, Shaplaie, this is your moment. This is my gift to you. And so what a beautiful way to honor her.
Yeah, definitely.
And to take the time to say, all right, I'm going to do me. And so lead us into the next step. So you said, all right, I'm going to get divorced. I'm going to lose this weight. So take us to the next step from the conscious decision to lose weight to the steps you went in to start your process?
Yeah, so for that first year, it was in 2019. That first year, I just really tried to eat differently, and that worked for a little while. That worked. I was just drinking a lot of water, like literally gallons of water. And thought that would help, but I didn't really understand where the eating was coming from, and it was it was very much emotional eating. So if something happened, I'm like, girl, I need a chip. And honestly, I mean, I think you still struggle with that, but I did try on my own for a year, and then I was just like, you know what? At the top of 2020, right before the pandemic, Lord Jesus, I went to a weight loss doctor at Mass General, MGH, and I was like, okay, I want to get into the weight loss program here. What are my options? And so they told me, they'd have different options. You can do like these protein shakes and medicine, or you can get a surgery. And I've always been kind of like, that's the easy way out. I ain't getting no surgery.
Right.
And then after they told me like, okay, well, here are your different options for surgery. And the sleep, for me, I was afraid of gastric bypass because, they like cut your whole stomach out and reattach stuff. I was scared of that. So I was like, okay, well, maybe I'll try the sleeve. So once I learned more about it, I was like, okay, I'm going to do the sleeve. So for the I was supposed to have my surgery in April, but then, pandemic.
Thank you, pandemic.
Right. So from the top of the year, so like January to September, I went from 238 to 198 or something. No, it was 188 on the day of surgery. 288, sorry. So it went from 388, 340 something, I can't even talk. I'm gonna pause for a second. Where did I go from? I went from 338 to 288 on the day of surgery. And then had my surgery on September 17th of last year. And now I am 221.
Awesome.
So I
whole person.
I lost an entire person.
A whole person. Congratulations.
Thank you. And I lost so the weight is one thing, right? Because like I said, I was juicy, but I was still cute.
Yes, you was.
Yes, I was,
still
right?
Fabulous.
I was fabulous.
Fluffy and fabulous.
Yes, I was doing it, right? I just always say my cup it runneth over.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
But I think for me, I didn't understand what other weight I was losing, right?
Yes.
So when I was, because at one point, with my ex-husband, I thought we were going to be like best friends.
Yeah.
So I called him and I was like, oh, I'm going to have surgery and it's going to be amazing. And he was like really down at first. Wow. And I'm like, what's wrong? And he was like, remind you, at this point, he is my ex-husband at this point, like legally my ex-husband. And he said, well, how am I supposed to compete with that? Like, you're going to lose all this weight and then all these people are going to want you, and how am I supposed to compete? And I remember saying, I didn't know you were still in the running. My brother. But what it did for me was like, losing the weight, some people lose weight and they have like all this confidence. I'm like, I'm this, I'm that.
Yes.
But no, losing the weight made me understand how much I was holding on to that no longer served me and that it didn't align with who I was. And never did.
Right.
But I was just kind of going along to get along. And so losing the weight, I lost emotional weight. I lost mental weight. Yes. I lost like a lot of like weight that held me down in so many areas of my life. So I was like, it was the perfect decision. That's the absolute perfect decision.
That's awesome. So is it safe to say that losing the weight helped you process some eternal things as you was losing the weight, I was like, okay, I'm dropping these bags that I knew were there, but I had to like drop the bag.
Yes.
Really drop the bag. So you losing the weight helped you see like, okay, there's other things that are contributing to me eating, like you said. I think we could speak openly and say a lot of us eat emotionally, especially coming from the church. We celebrating stuff, we eating. Somebody passed, we eating. There's a lot of attachment to food. And so when you start taking things apart and say, okay, why am I eating? You know,
Right.
why am I this big? Why am I this unhappy? Why am I, in this place where I feel I need to be divorced? And, those things start to reveal themselves, and you say, oh, okay, I don't need a chip, honey. I don't need a chip.
I needed a therapist.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right, literally,
Yeah.
it was very much, looking at, okay, how did I get here?
Yes.
Right? And it was obviously, how did I get here in my weight? But how did I get to this point where I am low? Like, yes, people would see me and they're always like, oh, you're always taking all these pictures and oh, you're this, you're all so fabulous. And it's kind of like, and I was so sad.
Right.
And no one knew it.
Right.
No one knew it. After moving back up north from Georgia, and I said I was getting a divorce, everyone was surprised.
I was surprised.
Everybody was like, we thought you were so happy. I was like, girl, I was sinking.
Far from the peaceful shore.
Far from the peaceful shore, honey.
Yeah.
But it was just, kind of looking at it, it started to, now I'm taking the focus off of other people and I'm putting it on myself. And I'm like, okay, so what happened, right? How did we get here? I started healing up childhood trauma.
Yeah.
I started healing up romantic and relationship trauma from the church, church trauma.
Yeah, put it out there. Yeah.
Trauma from so many different things. And it really, and then I started remembering things from my childhood that I could never have even imagined. Like, I'm like, oh, that's why I do this.
Yeah.
In relationships and and understanding that I had my own toxicity as well.
Right.
You know what I mean? So yes, these things happened in my marriage, and these are the things that he did. But it started to make me look at what I was doing, that contributed to the end of our marriage. But then also how I even got into it, because I knew it wasn't the one for me. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so after doing all of that, I just started to. I said, I'm going to live authentically, 100% authentically me, and I don't care who feels what way about it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's how it's supposed to be. We're supposed to live this abundant life openly and honestly. And abundance comes with truth.
That part.
Abundance comes with responsibility. Abundance comes with owning your stuff.
Yes, all your stuff.
I'm eating these chips. I'm eating these cookies. I'm over here with the crumbs in the bed,
Quite literally.
Yeah. So, I believe God is very intentional with what he does. And sometimes our healing looks a little different than what people expect. And so the response you got is like, how do I fit in this? You don't. At all. And that is key, because sometimes we have to identify who fits in our space as we are becoming.
Yes. I say that all the time, like, I am yet becoming. Like, I'm always becoming. And I think people are so rushed to actually arrive. Oh, yeah. But there's the final destination. I don't want a final destination. Right. I want to be, I just want to ever evolve. You know what I mean? I want to think differently all the time and look at different perspectives all the time. Like, that's what I want for my life. I don't ever want to arrive.
Right. Because then what is left?
Exactly.
What's left?
Now I'm here, now what? Right.
So tell us about, you got the surgery, you lost a ton of weight, looking fabulous. Tell us the one thing that you didn't expect during the course of, after having the surgery.
So physically, I didn't expect, they told you about it, right? But so you have to, when you're eating, you have to eat so much, or a little bit of whatever, and then it's so little. So say, they say you can eat as much as in your hand. Yep. Sometimes it's less than that.
Wow.
And some people say that I'm literally just taste testing my food, and because that's how little I can eat sometimes.
So like a little sample.
Yes, like a little sample. And so, and then kind of trying to digest my food in the beginning was a lot. A lot. There's something called dumping syndrome, where if you overeat, that's the other thing, because they try to get your mind right before you have the surgery. Right. And who was I kidding? My mind wasn't right. You know what I mean? My mind wasn't right.
Prepared.
Wasn't prepared. It wasn't, because not only, right before I decided the surgery, we lost Selena. Right.
You were grieving. Yeah.
And then mommy passed away last year from COVID.
Yep.
So having that surgery just months later, I wasn't prepared at all. And found myself in another toxic situation as well. So I was still using the same tools that I used
In the
the
past.
survival tactics
Yes.
that I used and techniques that I used before. And so I'm still trying to like eat small, but I'm eating 4 cookies.
Yeah. Trying
And
to
then-
satisfy that emotional need.
Right. And then my body's like, no, boo-boo, we don't do this anymore.
Yeah.
And so I would get sick, and sometimes it was like violently ill.
Oh my goodness.
So I had to think how I was doing things. And it's like, go back to a protein shake. Even though, that's another thing, you'll drink these protein shakes on this diet, right, that they put you on in the beginning. It's like you cannot drink that afterward. It's like everything changes for you.
Really?
So like when you're pregnant, there are things that you want and that you love,
that
right?
you crave, yeah.
Yes, like I remember eating watermelon like you would not believe with my son. I have not touched a watermelon in 18 years.
Oh my God.
It's that disgusting to me. And that's how it is once you have the surgery. So the protein shakes, I could never even get those back down because I was like, this is so gross.
Wow.
So gross. So I had to figure out another way to get my
An
protein.
alternative, yeah.
Yeah, and you have to have so much protein to continue like this weight loss journey.
Okay.
And so that's been interesting. It's been an interesting balance of trying to find like the foods that I can eat, the amount that I can eat.
Right.
And then I didn't expect to worry as much. So there's that physical thing, right? And then there's this mental thing, like, because now I've lost all this weight and I don't want to gain it back.
Of course. Nobody ever wants to gain weight back.
Right.
Yeah.
So whenever I eat, it's like if I eat more than like I think that I would, I'm like, am I stretching my stomach back out? How am I able to take that much? I get really afraid. And so I'm stepping on the scale and I'm like, oh, okay. How not? Because I haven't stepped on the scale in like maybe like a month or two. Okay. And then I'll step on the scale and I'm like, please God, don't let it be. I'm like, oh, okay, how I lose 2 pounds? I didn't even see that. Okay, well, that's great. Like, you know what I mean? So I think for me, there was obviously the physical, but the mental and having to, really do the work.
Yeah.
To say that I'm getting back into those same patterns that I was in years and years and years and years and years ago. Trying to satisfy people instead of being who I need to be. Yeah. So it took a very huge situation this past March, which you don't even know about, but yeah, I took a big situation to happen this past March where it almost took me out of here, honey.
Really?
It did. It almost took me out of here. And it took that for me to come back to myself and start again and say, okay, here we are again. Oh, here we are again, Lord. Bowed heads and humbled hearts. And like really look at me. And so ever since then, I've been setting boundaries.
Good for you.
I've been like, this is not good for me. And the thing is, like, we always think about setting boundaries with other people. No, I set boundaries with myself too.
Ooh, say that again.
For real.
Say that again.
Because I will allow myself to overdo it for other people because I still, in the back of my mind, have this people-pleasing mentality. You know what I mean? So, and what is that going to lead me to? Right. Overeating. Because then I'm just going to be overwhelmed and stressed and all that. So I'm like, no, Shaplaie, so when you get in here, this is what you said you was going to do. This is the help that you said you was going to give, and you're not going to give no more. And then when they start to request more of you, it's kind of like, actually, I have a hard stop here, and so I'm unable to do X, Y, Z. So it's like setting the boundary with myself, then reinforcing that boundary, setting the boundary with them, and drawing the line. And so I've been learning to do a lot of that, and just honestly speaking up for myself and advocating for myself. Because most people that know me, they're like, Shaplaie's always speaking her mind.
Yes, that is true. That is true.
But in a relationship, though, because it's very different.
It's very different, yes.
And we were raised like that, though.
Yes.
We were raised like, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, it is.
There should be equality and equity in your relationships.
Yeah.
Not only romantic, but your friendships.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And so, in a romantic relationship, I just was like, I need to set that boundary, even in the relationship, and start to speak up for myself and advocate there.
Right.
So in doing all of that, realizing my own toxicity, I can continue my weight loss journey in a healthy way. Yeah.
And that's amazing. Like that's a come to Jesus aha moment within yourself. Like I can't put the blame on everybody. I can't blame, the people in the past. I can't blame the people in the present. I have to own this. And if I'm going to be in a healthy relationship with food and people, they require the same boundaries.
Yep.
Because even if you're having a great relationship with food, everything's going well, and your relationships, aren't in a good place, you are going to overeat.
Oh, absolutely.
Because you feel like you can't talk to your partner, you can't talk to your boss, you can't talk to your kids. And so we go back to, like you just said, old behaviors like, Lord, I said I was going to eat one cookie.
Right.
And, we're down to the whole pack now.
Yeah, I done ate a whole box of Nutter Butters.
Feeling guilty,
Right.
about eating the whole pack when you said, oh man, no, I'm going to have one. And so it just keeps a cycle going. And our partners see that. Our outside sees that.
Right, exactly. Because it's weight gain, as much as I did, was like an outward cry to an inward ill. And I think for me, I'm also learning that I can set an expectation and, let people know how I'm feeling about a thing. But I need to remind myself that not everybody is where I am in my healing journey. And I can't have this expectation of everyone else to comply with what I need. So I have to be okay with, you know what? This person's unable to give that to me and be okay to walk away. And make room for the new. Like that is a big thing for me. 2021, I'm making room for the new. And you're not gonna come on this journey with me. But you know what? That's cool. Cause maybe I'll see you in a little while when I meet you again on your journey. You know what I mean? But it's okay to kind of just let go. And for a person who has abandonment issues, that was a big deal.
No, that is big.
That's a big deal. It's like you can't
big.
I have to let go.
Right.
And be okay with it if you're unable to meet me at this space in my life. Right. So yeah, I'm healing matters, honey. I've been healing.
It does matter. It does matter. I'm so
Healing.
happy for you authentically to see you blossom and grow. And I tell you that all the time, but the truth is like we've known each other since, Bobby doll socks and church fans. And so to be able to grow into mature women who know what we want and know what we need is good. It's good. And it also you are creating a safe space within yourself for other people to come to you and say, you know what, this is what I need. And I see it in you.
Right.
Because you're right, some people don't have that on their journey. Some people don't know where to turn to. Some people don't even know how to open up about their journey. But if you clear away the clutter, as in, toxic folks who don't even understand your journey, that's the one thing I had to understand for myself on my own healing journey. Stop explaining where you are, girl.
Right.
Like, stop.
Right.
We always feel this need to explain where we are, what we're doing, why we're doing it, why we feel God is moving. No, I don't need to explain it.
Yes. I have done a lot of that. Like, I don't need to, not only do I not need to explain it, I also don't have to, because I think being a PK, being a preacher's kid, you feel the need to explain when no one's even asking.
Yes.
Right? So
right?
I've learned I don't even have to do that anymore. Yeah. I can just live my life.
Just be.
And what you do with that is what you do with that.
Right. Oh my
Like,
gosh.
because that seems like your struggle. I'm over here happy.
Right.
I'm happy.
You have to learn that too. That you have to have that aha moment. Like, I'm a full-grown person. I can do what I want to do.
I am so grown, girl. I'm 37. I don't have to explain anything to you. Yes.
And that speaks to me about your whole journey as this new person in 2 years. Like, that speaks to your whole journey. It was not only about the weight loss. It was not only about grieving and healing. And, like, this was a moment like, no, we're going to do a whole makeover and come out the curtain, glowing and shining. And there's evidence that, she's a different person.
Oh, absolutely.
This was a God moment. This was a a moment of enlightenment, a moment of empowerment, right? Like owning the journey. I'm just not living a life, I'm living life.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
this
I
is-
stopped surviving and began living.
Right?
Yeah.
Isn't it nice to stop like being in survival mode and like,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
All
So,
right.
like, survival tactics will take over your life, honey.
It will, it will. Can you encourage our audience and say something to them, someone who might be struggling with their weight loss or even just the emotional component to it? Can you encourage the audience for us?
Absolutely. I would say, get quiet. Get quiet. I remember being in therapy years ago, and a prayer that the therapist told me to pray is to say to God, like, quiet every voice that is not like yours so that I can hear you clearly. And I think that is important. Like, get quiet. Everyone else's opinion doesn't matter. You need to know who you are, and you can't know who you are unless you have nobody else telling you who you are. So get quiet, start to heal things up, realize that you are the cause of some of your own issues, and then take action. Because that's another thing. Take action. Actually do it. Go forth and conquer.
Speak on that. Speak on that.
Yeah, because honestly, you can find yourself making all these plans, and because of anxiety and what people would think and all of that, like, even if you need to become free from social media, turn it off.
Yes, yes.
Do something different, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Turn it off and then just become free. Live your life outside of what everybody else is thinking, and then come back, and when they see that you're different and you're ready to hear the comments from other people and not let it affect you, that right there, that's power.
Yeah, that is power.
That's ascension.
That is power. Thank you for encouraging our audience. If you have any questions, please send them into the show, because we definitely want to have Miss Shaplaie back on again.
I'll be back, honey. I'll come talk about anything.
We can answer some questions that would come in, or some comments even, because I believe this is a conversation that needs to be held. It really, really does, especially us women of color. So thank you so much for being on Healing Matters, my first guest. Thank you so much, and being so transparent.
Absolutely.
You're so transparent, and I believe this is going to encourage somebody, and it's going to reach a lot of people that need it, that really need it, that really need to see a face that's familiar, that's, been on their news feed and showing them what's up. So thank you so much.
Always.
This has been good. This has been really good. And so thank you for watching another episode of Healing Matters. I am your host, Pastor Diandra Williams, and this is my special guest, Ms. Shaplaie Brooks. Thank you so much for being on the show. Please remember to tune in, subscribe to our YouTube channel, send in your comments, your questions, and we will